As the Director of Innovation and Technology at Wooster, my role is to create programs from pre-K to 12 that engage students in thinking about and building new ideas, new concepts, new designs, and running into challenges that they didn't expect and figuring out how to get them to learn from those challenges. I have to do this in the world of technology, so I get to play in computer programming and in engineering and design here in the Makerspace. And that's a really good challenge to have from the age range that we've got. So we're teaching 3-year-olds with B-bots, and we're teaching 12th graders with bandsaws, and all of those things that come in between. So we can be working with students who are creating cardboard, hydraulic controlled 3D printers up to, or maybe down to, just simple Lego creations from kindergartners. And all of that fits into this context of hands-on technological design and engineering that we've been able to work with this year. In the Makerspace, we've had quite a variety of activities going this year. We've started with as young as the 1st grade came in and built stick houses for their 3 Little Pigs project. We've had hydraulic cardboard creations from a Wooster themed cuckoo clock up through a jumping dog and everything in between. And we've got students working in a woodworking class right now building passive speaker systems for their smartphones that they can put on their desks.
My favorite experiences so far in the Makerspace would be the 3D printer that we got this year. The 3D printer is basically a printer that prints with plastic, and it makes 3D things, non-3D things, basically anything you can imagine. Right now I'm working on a prosthetic hand using the 3D printer.
She came in very inspired to work on prosthetics, and the two of us discovered that there's a whole movement in the engineering and medical world to design 3D printed prosthetics.
I have an interest in prosthetics because I'm very interested in biology and the works of the human body. I want to eventually in my career find a way to make prosthetics go with your muscles and basically work and function like a normal hand.
Because one of our mottos in the Makerspace is, if you can imagine it, we can build it, we have to be prepared to follow through on that. And so we've developed a wide range of tools, from a whole fleet of Rockwell power tools that students use all the time to a 3D printer. We've got 6 or 7 bins of Legos, from Mindstorm's robotics kits down to odds and ends that families have given us, that students can use to prototype all sorts of things. We go through a lot of duct tape and a lot of cardboard in making prototypes of all sorts of objects. And we have a fully functioning wood shop here. So we can use any tool at our disposal, from a soldering iron up through a table saw, to make whatever we can imagine.
We're going to be taking those kiddie cars that like toddlers drive around in. We're going to outfit them to make them into accessibility vehicles. And we're going to program them to allow for people with disabilities to be able to use them as scooters.
We are also working into Arduino electronics, so microcontrollers, and students are learning to program those and learning to create devices that receive inputs from the world around them and then give appropriate outputs.
Well, a lot of the time you have to be ready to fail and ready to come back and do it again. Because a lot of the times you'll mess something up, but that'll tell you what you need to do in order to keep moving forward. And if you hadn't messed up, chances are you wouldn't have been able, you could have gotten lucky and it would have messed you up harder even later.
A major set of skills and dispositions revolves around a design process, and we have hammered out a Wooster version of a very commonly accepted process in the design world. And it starts with the ability to accept a challenge that either has been given to you or that you've created yourself.
You have to be ready to mess up, and you have to be ready to persevere when you do this kind of thing.
What excited me was the process that they were taking the kids through. both the student who was talking about his ideas and how he had turned his ideas into this thing, what he thought worked and didn't work, and then his classmates weighing in and complimenting him on the things that they really liked and thought worked well, but also talking about, yeah, you know, if you had made this adjustment to his tail, made it wave a different way, it would have been better. So it was about design, it was about collaboration, and it was about how do I make it better.
Over the last several years which I've been here at Wooster, I think that the teaching has become more and more intentional, and we aren't just reading out of textbooks and regurgitating what the teacher writes on the board, but we're having open discussions and learning more off of each other instead of what's in writing.
Reading about a child on paper is one thing, but when you actually get to meet the child that you're engineering a project for, it really hits home and it becomes part of a bigger thing. It's not really about getting a good grade in a class anymore. It's more about providing a mode of transportation for a child who needs one, or a social aspect to enhance a child's life that really, aside from their needs or their disabilities, are really just children. They're toddlers that want friends and want social interactions. So I think that that's probably the biggest takeaway from this project.
Teachers here don't just say, hey, go get in a group and talk about this. They talk to students about, how are you going to talk about this? Let's practice it, let's do it, let's get better at it, and then let's reflect on how we did, and let's reflect on each of our roles. And again, this is a life skill, and this is how we learn, and we think that if our students leave here able to do that, they're so much better equipped for college and life after college.
I think students view me as a resource for their thinking. I think they see me as somebody they can bounce ideas off of in a number of genres, a number of categories. They will ask me questions about how do I get my computer program to work. And really the sneaky trick is that I just ask them what they're trying to do. And when they explain it to me, it becomes clear to them without my having to do any work, but they come away thinking that I know all the answers.